tutorials program that we'll be highlighting the next 5 weeks will be how to dice an onion properly. The very first step of the process, again, is to have your station set up for safety and for success. When you set up your station, we need to have a mat underneath our cutting board to keep our cutting board stationary and secure at all times. So the first step of the process is to locate a mat, put that down onto your station. Your cutting board goes on top of that, keeps it nice and sturdy and will not move. It's very important for precision cuts to not have your cutting board moving around. The second step, of course, is to have a sharp knife. So we will take our steel in the position that we discussed when we were breaking down our chicken. To cut the onion properly, we're using a chef knife versus a boning knife. Boning knife is for meat fabrication. Your chef knife is for most jobs in a kitchen, especially fine-tuning, basic skill cuts, and classic cuts. We will sharpen our knife again at our 20-degree angle, resting our knife, since this is much larger than the boning knife, it actually rests on the guard. 20-degree angle, one full swipe, back of the knife to the front of the knife, which is the tip. 90-degree angle, both sides. Nice smooth strokes, no pressure, shouldn't be very hard, should be nice, smooth little strokes. So our knife is now sharp and ready to go. I want to wipe my knife off. Make sure your knife blade is away from you. The edge should be in front of you. And just gently wipe off your blade with any residue, any metal, because we are sharpening and honing, and now we're ready to go. So we're going to highlight how to cut an onion today and how to properly peel the onion. So in order to make my onion the very first cut, I'm going to use a boning knife just for 1 second, just to cut through the top and to peel off the flesh. Everything we have goes in a receptacle at your station. A lot of this can be utilized for stock. Other things can be used for compost. So you want to make sure that we use either a paring knife or a boning knife just to maybe help tear off the outer flesh of the onion. You want to make sure that you go a little bit deeper. You want to get that second layer. Sometimes they are bruised. That needs to be removed. So you will see that I'm leaving the root end on and pulling off all the debris. It's just a little bit easier to use a paring knife or a boning knife to do this versus a very large chef knife, just to get the skin off. Make sure it's clean. I'm going to trim off just a little bit of this bottom part, but this should remain intact. This is what holds the onion together when you're dicing. So first step in the process is to have your onion peeled. Okay. Whenever you're cutting, you want to make sure you have a flat surface so nothing will move. So in order to achieve those results, we will cut this in half. Right from the stem to the tip. 2 halves are going on the board like that. They will not move. Obviously, if I had a rounded edge, I would never be able to cut properly. So make sure it's cut in half on your cutting board. The first step of the process is to make cuts into the onion. There are different sizes, large, medium, small, fine, which would be a mince. All that depends upon your separation between your cuts and the distance between the width of your parallel cuts. First step in the process is to make sure you hold your hand properly for those cuts. You want to hold your hand in the claw format. Tuck in your thumb, bend your 4 fingers over. I'm using my thumb to hold this product down. I want to make sure that my tips are bent very gently at the very first, right at the fingertips, not the knuckles. If I did it like that and did my knuckles, it's too flat. I want to have that up a bit, just bending over the tips, tucking my thumb in. If you were to hold it like this, what would happen? Apparently, obviously, you would have some cuts. Okay? Very easy to cut yourself and injure if you don't do your claw format. Again, don't rest on your knuckle, just at the fingertip base. Hold it in. I want to do a large dice with this onion. The first step in the process is to go right through horizontally into your onion. And I'm going to do a fairly large slice. I'm going to hold it palm side up, or just like this. I'm going to go right in the middle. And you'll see where I'm stopping. I'm stopping 3/4 of the way through, right before the root. This is going to keep this onion intact and do an automatic dice, which is very simple. Be very careful when you pull it out, because it's going towards you. Okay, this is a large dice, so I'm going to do one more just for demo purposes, but I probably would just do one slice. But again, the knife is coming in here, so I want to make sure that my finger is intact. I'm holding it down, and again, I'm stopping 3/4 of the way through, pulling it out gently. I now move this onion toward me. Okay, I'm going to cut perpendicular to the cuts that I just made. I'm going to start 3/4 of the way through and drag it all the way to the front. So now, since this is very large, a large dice would be about an inch. So I want to make this very big. If I was to do a very fine mince, I would do something very small like this. But I want to do a very large, so I'm just going to start 3/4 of the way through and go 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I have 3. I go horizontally into it, then I'm making my cuts perpendicular to that. Now again, I turn it one more time, facing out to the right. In order for me to get my 1 inch by 1 inch large dice, I'm going to go in, my thumb is tucked back, my fingers are on the top part of the onion, holding it down. I'm making one big cut, moving it out, and the second cut is going to be right where I started, which was 3/4 out and a little bit before the stem. I can use this for chicken stock or any kind of stock. Okay, so now the onion falls apart. There's a large dice. Very simply done. You just need to know, eventually we're going to know all different measurements for our cuts. And separate them. And that will be a large dice. Okay. Continuing on with a medium dice. We still have half an onion to utilize. It's resting flat against the cutting board. My knife is sharp. I have my gloves on. I'm going to now, again, cut in horizontally. I'm going to do a few more cuts because the medium dice is smaller than the large dice. So again, I'm holding it down. I'm going to take my knife and go 3/4 of the way in. Pull it out. Go on top. Pull it out. Okay. Turn it over. Now I'm going to do half that width, okay? So if that was your width 4, I'm going to cut that in half because the medium dice is half that size. So again, I'm going to start with 3/4 of the way through, making the second cut. So I have one cut so far. Now we have our second cut. All right, so horizontal, vertical, and now we're going in there. And now we're going to actually to perform our medium dice. Stopping 3/4 of the way through, removing the stem end, and there is your nice medium dice. The only difference is the width and the length between each cut determines the. Now we're going to begin a small dice. We've peeled onion again, cut our onion in half, lay it flat. Now we're going to do it one size smaller than our medium. Again, holding it down with our claw, my thumb is underneath there. Now this will be half that size, so I'm going to have a few more horizontal cuts than I did for the medium and the large. Again, stopping 3/4 of the way through. Dragging it out, doing another horizontal cut, do one more, the very top. Okay, now again I'm going to go 3/4 of the way through. These are going to be thinner widths. again, now perpendicular. Now I'm going to actually chop. As I'm chopping, you'll see that my middle finger is my guiding finger, okay? I'm pushing back. As I'm going, the knife is hitting my knuckle because of how my hands are on top of the onion. If I was to lay them flat, obviously I would have a problem. So I'm holding them up, and this is my guiding hand. So my first cut, the tip of the knife is hitting my knuckle. That's telling me where I'm going to cut. So as I'm cutting, I'm jumping back so it's consistent, and my knife is not hitting my finger, it's hitting the knuckle and guiding me. Again, waste for that goes there. This would be your small dice, okay? Soup cuts, things like that. Now they'll have a mince. Again, flat surface. This will be obviously very small. My root end is still intact. You hope understanding that if the root end is cut off, it will not cut the way this demo has cut in terms of holding it together. Okay, it's very hard sometimes for students to make sure that you try to hold the sides in when you cut a mince because it's very small, so there's a lot more cuts than would be for the large or the medium, so that takes practice. So we'll hold our knife again and go right into a horizontal cut, stopping 3/4 of the way. I'll have numerous cuts into this because it is going to be very fine mince. Then I'm going to do 4 horizontal cuts. Okay. Now I'm going to go again 3/4 of the way through. Very fine. You'll see maybe 1/8 of an inch or more slice. 3/4 of the way to the back of the onion. Take your fingers, your thumb and your middle finger, and hold it intact. Now we will go, I'm going to dice that, okay? So you want to rock up and down as you're slicing. Lifting, the knife stays, the knife moves gently, rocking up and down. Up and down. Holding, I'm taking my pinky and my thumb to sort of hold those wings and the end together. Up and down, rocking. Tip of the knife is hitting and staying in place. I'm controlling it. This little bit right here you could utilize still. You don't want to waste anything if you don't have to. Just make sure that they are equal. So 2 onions gave us a large dice, a medium dice, a small dice, a mince.